For centuries, humans had been underestimated across the galaxy. Other species, Aurelians, Cytherians, Thalaxians, Orvaxians, and countless minor factions, dismiss humanity as chaotic, emotional, and fragile. Their technology was primitive compared to the oldest civilizations, and their fleets were small. Diplomats sneered at human negotiators, generals scoffed at their battle tactics. Yet, across star systems, a quiet truth simmered. Humans were patient, almost dangerously so. Humanity tolerated incursions, invasions, betrayals, and interstellar politics with a level of patience that seemed absurd to other species. Planets were mined without permission, trade routes were manipulated, and colonies were attacked. Humans observed, recorded, and calculated, never overreacting, until one fateful day their patience ran out. It began with a minor incursion near the Draconis Rift, where a coalition of alien raiders destroyed several civilian freighters. Warnings were sent, demands were ignored, and minor retaliatory actions were shrugged off by the aggressors. Humanity's fleet stayed in orbit, watching, noting every weakness, every misstep. Then came the catalyst incident. In the Orion Verge, a small human colony called Nova Haven was obliterated by a rogue alien faction, killing thousands of civilians. This wasn't just an attack. It was a deliberate provocation. But the humans did not respond immediately. Instead, they evacuated survivors, rebuilt defenses, and quietly reinforced their fleets, all while transmitting detailed reports to the perpetrators. We remember everything. Other species laughed. They assumed humanity would continue its pattern, endure, negotiate, and perhaps threaten meaningless retaliation. They were wrong. The first sign of human wrath came 2 months later. A coordinated strike targeted the raiders' command ships, supply chains, and orbital stations. Unlike any conventional attack, it was surgical, precise, and devastating. Every fleet movement was calculated to maximize damage and minimize collateral losses to human-controlled systems. Within days, the coalition of raiders was shattered. Ships fled across light years, communication lines jammed, and homeworlds fortified, but humans pursued, relentless. Then came the psychological warfare. Humans infiltrated alien AI networks, sending false orders that forced enemy fleets into collisions. Propaganda broadcasts showed the alien losses in human counterattacks, demoralizing even the most loyal soldiers. Systems that had been allies of the raiders began to defect. Across multiple sectors, species who had mocked humanity suddenly fled at the first hint of human engagement. Why? Because humans were no longer predictable. They were patient, but patience had a breaking point. Once crossed, humans became strategists, warriors, and tacticians in perfect unison, combining technology, ingenuity, and psychological precision. They didn't rage blindly. They executed vengeance with terrifying effectiveness. In the space above the Centauri expanse, fleets of Aurelians and Cytherians experienced it firsthand. When a minor human outpost was threatened, Kale Quinn, a super soldier whose daughter had been killed by alien raiders years before, led a strike force that decimated enemy positions in less than 48 hours. Entire squadrons surrendered without firing a shot. Planets that had once defied humanity signed surrender treaties overnight. Diplomats scrambled. Ambassadors who had laughed at human patience now whispered warnings in secure channels. Analysts documented human strategies, observation, calculation, adaptability, and, above all, the lethal precision of retribution once patience ran out. Meanwhile, on Earth, leaders explained the phenomenon simply. Humans do not forget. Humans do not forgive. But humans wait. And when that wait ends, entire galaxies learn the cost. Stories of human patience, and its breaking point, spread rapidly. Propaganda, both intentional and accidental, amplified the mythos. Across star systems, traders, mercenaries, and civilian populations learned that provoking humans was no longer just foolish, it was fatal. The humans themselves didn't celebrate. There were memorials for those lost in past incursions, quiet ceremonies for colonies destroyed, and a deep sense of collective responsibility. Their vengeance wasn't emotional. It was precise, controlled, and inescapable. By the end of the first year of retaliation, even the most powerful empires had adjusted their strategies. Patrols avoided human systems, ambassadors treated humans with unprecedented respect, and fleets retreated at the slightest hint of conflict. Humanity's reputation became a weapon, a deterrent stronger than any ship, missile, or superweapon. And it wasn't just about force. Humans had learned to weaponize predictability itself, appearing patient and harmless until the perfect moment, then striking in ways no one could anticipate. Every species that underestimated humans discovered the same brutal lesson. Patience, when crossed, transforms into unstoppable power. On the final day of the campaign, a coalition fleet attempted one last bold maneuver near Vega Prime, hoping to assert dominance over human-controlled space. They were met not with chaos, but with perfectly executed defensive strategies, electronic warfare, and precision strikes. Ships were destroyed before they could form formations. Communications were intercepted and corrupted. Escape routes were blocked. The fleet's leaders abandoned command, fleeing individually in escape pods. By the time they reached safe space, every historian in the galaxy recorded a single chilling lesson. Never push humans too far. They wait, and when they act, all species flee. Humans return to their colonies, rebuilding and mourning, but always vigilant. They had shown the galaxy the true power of patience, and more importantly, the consequences of its end. The mythos of human restraint became embedded in interstellar policy. Wars were avoided not because humans lacked force, but because their wrath was too terrifying to test. In the end, all species learned the same lesson. Underestimate humans at your peril. For patience is not weakness, and once it is exhausted, even the mightiest fleets, the oldest empires, and the cleverest diplomats find themselves fleeing, because humans, when provoked, become a force the galaxy cannot contain. And somewhere in the void of space, the humans continue their quiet vigilance, watching, calculating, waiting. They were patient, but the universe now knew, one day, their patience might end.